This is what happened.
So, big thing with Harwin, he is in the room when she comes back with the baby. He's like dapping up the kids, kind of friendly shit. And it kind of gets kind of a little bit weird. Like, he tries to kind of put hands on the baby, try to seal up the baby and all that stuff. I think he asks if he could hold the baby specifically. And at that point, like, okay, he wasn't that close to her before. She had Cole watching her before, so, maybe it's just Rhaenyra's charm. Rhaenyra's charm definitely factored into that, but not in the way I thought it was. So anyway, we don't see Harwin again for a minute. He kind of flashes in and out, I think, maybe, but we don't really see him again in any kind of powerful moment until we get a scene where basically the two men, or I guess boys from Alicent's womb, and the two boys that are a bit younger from Rhaenyra's. These two duos that seem to pretty much be friendly for the most part, although Alicent kind of got into the oldest of the four, Aegon's head a little bit. So he's kind of like, I guess, maybe a little bit hesitant, but it seems like they kind of have pretty much a general, like, not animosity, but just kind of a little bit of a frenemy thing where, like, they pretty much kind of talk shit, play pranks on each other. That just seems to be like these two duos kind of thing for the most part. And Aemon, I think, seems to be the butt of the joke more times than not because he's the most flappable, and if I can gather, pretty much the youngest of the four. Although I think I think the fourth youngest, or the fourth, the youngest would be because the smallest was definitely Rhaenyra's kid. I think he might be the youngest, although it is definitely apparent that Aemon is the lowest on totem pole of all four of them. So we get a scene where basically they're training in the same spot we saw, Jon Snow training. Pretty much all the city watch officers were trained at in King's Landing. We saw Jon Snow dap up Robb Stark in the same area. So they're training. Kristen Cole is pretty much the primary, I guess, trainer for these boys. He's clearly favoring the older two, kind of shit on the younger two a little bit. Really ignoring them more to shit on them, but like at a certain part, he has Harwin is just basically there at the same time, kind of watching over things. He's the superior of Kristen Cole, the commander of the Night's Watch, or the City Watch, my bad. He's just like, yeah, just watching. And then, like, as he keeps on favoring the younger two boys, the other two are just kind of dicking around. Harwin intervenes, just like saying, hey, you don't ever do anything for these two, what's up with that? So then Aegon, who was clearly the most impressive on the straw dummy, spars up with the oldest of Rhaenyra's kids, who's significantly shorter and younger, and goes to town on him initially, but then not Aemon, Jacaerys, I think his name, Jacaerys or whatever, Jacaerys comes in, he's like, no, fuck that shit. Like, just kind of like a last desperation type thing, kid go on type thing. Just comes and starts beating his ass a little bit, and then basically Christian literally like tells him just pretty much use trickery and deceit to win that fight. He throws something at him or something like that and gets him off of him. So they both separate, and basically it's like two boxers in a ring. Like Cole is giving Aemon or Aegon, I believe, Aegon some tips, and then what's his name? Harwin is giving Jacaerys some tips. And like they're basically both like discussing. So they both go to start sparring, and Aegon, out of like pure rage, just like starts beating the shit out of pretty much like it was the first little spat, just beating the shit out of the boy again. And he literally just like Cole like starts losing it again. It's like trying to like basically beat the fuck out of the younger boy Jacaerys, and he just keeps on telling what's his name, Aegon. These names are fucking and just God, there's so many new names now. He starts telling Aegon to start beating the shit out of him. Don't let him get back up. Keep on hitting his ass. And at a certain point, Harwin like grabs the sword from Aegon and pushes him off on him. Aegon goes a little bit crazy. The Viserys and Lionel, Harwin's dad, they're watching. It's like Viserys like, hey Aegon, shut the fuck up, because it's trying to make it a thing where Aegon is basically not Aegon. Viserys is trying to make it to where all 4 boys are pretty much close. 2 are his kids, and then 2 are his grandkids, but they're Rhaenyra's kids, so like they're pretty much all 4 kids. They're Targaryens. The one thing Viserys always wanted is a bunch of male Targaryens, and he wants them all to be friendly and close and all protect the Viserys name or the Targaryen name. So at this point, Cole, who definitely seems to have been off of being for a while, very contemptuous and annoying human being, basically starts kind of talking shit to Harwin behind his back, like literally like behind his back. Starts saying, I don't think I've ever seen anybody have emotion like this unless it's like a cousin getting his ass beat, or a brother, or maybe a son. And when he says son, Harwin just knocks the fuck out of Cole, like starts beating his ass. Kind of likened to how Cole did the Night of Kisses in the previous episode. And then he just like tracks him off. Like, the Knights track him off, freaking get too bad. But Cole's like, yeah, I knew it. And so, yeah, that whole scene kind of confirms it to, I guess, some of the whisperers that, in fact, Harwin was the father of the Targaryens. So, goes back to Nyra. Nyra's at this point, I can't even. This is a 20-minute recording. I'm not even past Nyra. I did Harwin. Let's stay with Harwin then. So Harwin at this point, he gets called up by his dad basically, and his dad's like, "You're fucking cursing our house. You're fucking up the game. This is how he kind of isn't professional at all. Like you basically are dropping dick, but you're being unprofessional about it. You can't even like hide this shit well. No tact at all." And Harwin is like, "I don't give a fuck." Kind of almost Cole-esque. Like very early Cole, where he's just like, "You got thrown back to me. I have my honor, but it's the way I want it to be. Blah blah blah." That's where he kind of deviates from Cole a little bit. Where he just kind of talks about his own desires. And then while this is happening, Rhaenyra is eavesdropping while not Cole, but Harwin's being pretty much thrown around by his dad. His dad pretty much realizes at this point, like, this is untenable. I keep this guy around. He's not going to work out. So later on, I'll keep this because it's not his character. That's all intertwined, obviously. But essentially, Lionel sits down with the king while Olivia Cook is standing there. And he's just like, I gotta give this up. There's clear bias happening here. This is not the way it's supposed to be. I can't have it like this. It's my son. It's also my heir. I don't want to do this. Viserys is basically like, fuck that shit. Do I trust in this whole fucking, about everything pretty much. First hand of the I mean, he was doing that too, but he's the first hand of the king where it's like, I actually trust you. You have no self-interest. And Alon's like, well, I do have self-interest. I have to protect my kid, from, there's a shadow over my house coming. And then Viserys basically point blank ask him, okay, what's the shadow then? What's happening? And then Lionel was like thinking about it, and then Olivia Cook asked, what's the shadow? You got to tell us in plain English. What's happening? And then Lionel looks back at her, it's like, this bitch wants to be dead. He's like, I can't say it. It's just I can't keep it with me. So he's like, well, I can't let you go if you can't tell me what's happening. So it's pretty much a lose-lose for him at that point. So Lionel says, okay, I'm just going to take him back with me back to Harrenhal. We'll get him, situated down there. So that's that for that moment. Next time we see Harwin is pretty much the last time we see Harwin. So Harwin is being escorted with his father back to Harrenhal. I guess they make it there overnight while our boy is sleeping. Lionel starts to smell the smoke come in, and then just a crazy knock on the door. The fire that's pretty much, I guess, been the way I think about this is the fire is creeping up to where basically there was no exit for the father, and then I guess the fire also caught Harwin to where he's pretty much stuck trying to get his dad. I don't know if he's trying to rescue his dad or he just needed somewhere to go that wasn't fire filled. But basically, a bunch of rubble comes down, almost searching Jamie adjacent. A bunch of rubble comes down and apparently crushes our boy Harwin, and also blocks the only exit out of the room for Lionel. So I guess the presumption is that pretty much both died at that moment. it seemed to be pretty much they pretty much snuffed out a vast majority of Harrenhal. I mean, I'll get to who they is, but they are. But they pretty much seem to burn out a lot of Harrenhal. It was very desecrated, from what I could see.